Going live, going live.
Yeah, we are live.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh,
welcome. Hi.
I see you now. I see you. What's going on? Yeah.
Hey, Jason.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. So we are live here right now with Master Jason. And Master Jason is an accomplished martial artist from Indonesia. He is the founder of the Spartan House Craft Manga, and it's the #1 training facility in Indonesia. So
Yeah.
he has a lot to share with us today, but I would like, Jason, how about you introduce yourself? A bit of
Yeah.
your background.
Juliana, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. We're having a thunderstorm right now, so if there's anything that you cannot hear, just let me know in the comments, and I will raise my voice, raise my energy. Thank you for the kind introduction, Juliana. Hi, everybody. My name is Jason. A lot of the students call me Master Jason, but Jason is fine. If it's okay, we're going to spend the next 20 minutes with ourselves, with together. So let me introduce myself a little bit more. I've been for the last 2 decades in martial arts, and I've impacted over 10,000 people on helping them become better leaders, getting in touch with their own power, and then becoming the better version of themselves, right? So that's have been my mission for the last 2 decades. Coming to 2020, I have still on that mission of empowering people, enlightening people, and also using the vehicle of martial arts to teach them. In my own personal background, martial arts, my father in Indonesia was the Olympic coach in the 1992 Barcelona Olympics for Taekwondo. And we medaled 4 medals, 3 silver, 1 bronze, the most medals in one Olympic event for our country in Indonesia. So that's sort of me. And I flew out of my mom's stomach with a flying sidekick shouting. And I've never stopped shouting and crying ever since, right? So that's me. I have a martial arts background, very diverse, 4 black belts, a 5th degree black belt in Taekwondo, which is the Korean kicking art. Then I have 2 second degree black belts, one in Krav Maga, Israeli martial arts, military martial arts, Hapkido, which is Korean Jiu-Jitsu. So it's a little bit like the Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, but slightly different with weapons and whatnot, okay? And then I have a martial arts black belt in Yongmudo, which is a Korean Judo. So this is my background in traditional martial arts, but I love Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a white belt, very proud of that white belt. I love mixed martial arts, MMA, competition sports, and just anything to develop me as a person through the vehicle of expression of combat. So I did a 30-day Shaolin challenge. I lived like a Shaolin monk for 30 days. I trained intensively for 3 days with a Shaolin master, Shifu, from China. So I try a lot of different things. Yeah, I've done boxing, I've done kickboxing, jiu-jitsu championships. Just done every touch here with different martial arts, Aikido, karate. So yeah, that's my background. So it's good to see everybody. Thank you so much for having me.
Great, thanks, Jason. That is such an illustrious and very diverse experience in traditional martial arts. Yeah, I see that we have about 7 people here with us. So if you're here, drop us a hi, say hi, or give us a like so we know that you're here. And if you have any questions for Master Jason, just put in a comment. All right.
Everybody, welcome. Yeah. Hey, Annie, how are you?
Okay, great. Jason, so I know that you also teach kids, and that's why we have invited you to run one of our mind-body classes in May for our students. Tell us a bit more about martial arts for kids.
First of all, very honored to be here to talk about kids, one of my closest passions, one of the topics closest to my heart. Annie's kids, she's on the chat, she just trained with me, Rena and Mira, so I really appreciate that via Zoom call. I train a lot of people, Juliana. Part of the people that I train is at the elite level, we're talking about presidential bodyguard, We're talking about special forces all over the world, American, Indonesian, Australian special forces all over the world. I go from bodyguard training to police training, and just traditional martial arts to competition, like Taekwondo competition. So I bring kids to competition, I bring adults to competition, and recently we've done a mixed martial art competition in Indonesia, One Pride. So we send fighters, we sponsor fighters, we train them, and we bring them to a high level to compete. So I've trained and taught many different people, but for a lot of reasons, kids has always been my passion. Kids has always been a market that I personally want to be involved in and also teach. The reason being is because it's so important to bring up and nurture the talents of the kids through martial arts. Nowadays, the traditional school system, you come in, you have one class, maybe 30, 40 people in the class, and there's a shortage of teachers, especially in my country, Indonesia, where I know you're in Singapore. So Singapore has a very stringent, academic focus based education, right, for kids. In Indonesia, it's almost the same, but we have a very big number of classes with only one teacher. So the way that the kid is, can the child converse with the teacher? That's the big question. Can the child converse? Can the teacher really know the child? So for me, when I have a martial arts platform, I'm able to communicate with the child, connect. I can really converse with them. I can understand what makes them tick, what motivate them, what makes them depressed. And these are important aspects, not just the martial arts, right? Because I believe we can teach anything. Annie teaches cooking. She's on the chat right now. She's a great cooking instructor. She teaches kids how to cook. But Annie and I, we share the same common path in the sense that we connect with the kids, we talk to the kids, and then they're able to express themselves. So I have this one principle. I want to let you ask your second question, but here's the principle I have. How the kids do one thing is how the kids do everything. So if they're able to express with their words how they feel, what they're thinking, what motivates them, then they're able to express with their body the true form of martial arts, a high level of martial arts. So great speech, great communication skills equals great martial art expression. And I feel that's true with cooking or dancing or art. So my job with kids is not just to teach them martial arts, just to deliver them the moves that give them a lot of self-confidence, but also allow them to, be the best that they can be in that platform. Not just do martial arts, but really do it well. And then after that, they'll do everything else well. They'll have black belt focus in their academics, and everything like that. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for that, Jason. Totally can relate and agree with you. How they do one thing is how they do everything. It's the same in coding. It's the same in coding. That's why in our academy as well, like we are, we also, like, for example, in the academy, we want to see them be responsible and independent. And so when it comes to their code, whether it is in their coding or whether it is simply keeping our learning space clean and conducive for others, everything speaks about them and about what they stand for.
What you said about keeping, I don't mean to cut you off. Can I just point out something?
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you so much. For everyone who's listening to this, I'm assuming that you're a parent. And I'm not telling you how to do your job because I know you're better than me at that. I'm still single. I don't have kids of my own. But Juliana, what you said was so important. You said keeping the context clean, keeping the place clean, right? That is what martial arts is all about. Now, some people might thinking, where are the jumping kicks and the blocks and the spins and everything like that, and the cartwheels. In my martial arts classes, I make every kid line up their shoes. If they don't line up their shoes before the classes start, there is no martial arts class, because I just want to point out how important your particular point is. And that you're right. It's not about coding. It's not about martial arts. It's not about cooking. It's all about connecting with the kids and helping them understand what's important, helping them understand how to take the first step to becoming successful, how to take the first step in understanding and applying success habits. So I just want to add that. That's so important. And I'm glad you're doing that.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jason. Okay, so Yeah. So you mentioned Annie, and I know that Annie is online right now. Would it be okay
Yeah.
to put Annie on so she can maybe describe a bit about her child's experience with you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Annie, if you want to talk about Rena Mira's experience, welcome.
All right, Annie. I'm putting you on in 3, 2, 1. Everyone say hi, Annie.
Hi.
Mm.
Can you guys hear me?
Hey,
We
Annie.
hear you fine. We hear you
Hey.
fine. Yeah. Great. So how long have your kid been learning? How old is your kid?
My daughters are 10 and 12 years old.
Mhm.
They have been doing several lessons with Jason. Even the impact of just one lesson was just amazing in terms of discipline. I really got that. And they were the ones who asked me to enroll in Jason's class, because coronavirus, they're like, Mommy, we've been staring on the screen every single day. We're not moving. They're on home-based learning from 7:30 to 3 o'clock every day, right? They need some movements. If I just give them a YouTube, they're not going to do it. They want to have some interactions with Master Jason.
So your daughters found out about Jason through his online classes, his Zoom classes?
They did one trial physically with Jason. It was an hour lesson, but the impact of that one lesson, the effect lasted for several months, which got nothing to do with martial arts, actually. If you're wondering what that impact is, just tidying up their bed in the morning. So, which is now becoming a habit for them. Like Jason said, when you do one thing, you do everything.
Okay. So they're still doing it, yeah?
You're still doing it. I make that a habit every single morning. I said, if you don't tidy up your bed, your whole day gonna be a mess. That's like indoctrinated in their brain.
So important.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really amazing. So Annie, what do you think? Why is it so important for children to have this kind of education? And what kind of impact do you think it's going to have for them, for your daughters, and for students who will be learning with Jason?
Like what Jason said, and I've
In
been
the
hearing,
future. Mm.
yeah, I've been hearing this from Jason all the time. What he's teaching is not just martial arts. The soft skills, the life skills that he's teaching, which is discipline, being tidy, on time, being punctual, all these things. These are skills that you get it at school, but it's not ingrained in the everyday life. They'll be on time in submitting their homework. They'll be on time, coming up doing their tests. Because why? Because everything is timed at school. But outside of the school environment, let's say for my kids, let's say they've graduated from college. It's like, go free, do whatever, do your own time. You have your own schedule. Don't you think the kids will get lost? Because everything has been dictated for them since they were in preschool, primary school, secondary, high school, all the way to university. But if you don't instill discipline in them, which could be part of their moral values, what Jason is instilling in the kids, they will not be a whole being. There will be more like robots. But we don't want robots at the end of their, school years. We want kids who can just be triggered in the morning, they'll be disciplined in terms of their time management, in terms of reaching their goals. What do they want to do? They're clear on all those things. So those are the lessons that Jason is, trying to teach our kids through martial arts.
Thanks, Annie. I really appreciate what you said.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it. Yeah. And plus, you don't even do my classes. So
no.
So it's good to see that as a parent that you can see the benefits. I'm very touched by that. So thank you.
I would want to do it one day, but I have other classes with Jason.
Yeah.
Not on martial arts, on personal development.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Annie. I think the one thing you say that struck me very much is you said that your kids, they go to school, they're on a schedule, but a schedule is not determined by them, right? And if they undergo this for several years in their lives, it could be that they're conditioned to be somewhat, according to your words, robotic, right? And it's so important that they then have their own, they're empowered and have their own, their own mastery, self-mastery, to be able to determine and dictate what they want to do. Like keeping their beds clean, it may be something small, but yeah. So like keeping their beds clean may be something small, but it is a part of something in life that they need to do. So something small leads to some bigger things.
Yeah, exactly. You summarized well.
Yeah, you got to start off by making the bed. That's number one. I teach that to all the students that come in. You got to put your shoes away, got to make your bed, got to do it. Yeah.
Okay, I wonder what people who are listening, especially parents who are listening to this feel, do put in your thoughts on the comments. I have a comment here on, here, a comment says here, the kids are waiting to do some actions now.
That's good. So, there you go.
Yeah, and to that, I'll say, Jason, you're starting the class with us on Monday, so they'll get you on Monday. The lucky kids will get you on Monday.
We've got a class on Monday coming up. Excited for that. Can I just add something to what Annie was saying, right?
Yeah.
Annie was saying about the complete human. She was saying about the complete person, right? Complete human. Whereby I'm not just teaching martial arts, but I'm teaching people how to be people. And here's what I've learned. I believe in the martial arts, but I also believe in the trainers. I grew up alone. I grew up very lonely. I moved schools 9 times, moved homes 9 times. So the consistent thing that I had was my martial arts and a few masters who really instilled in me something. And I take from their philosophy not to just build a human, but to build a being. So the human being, right? And this is something that modern martial arts has sort of missed a little bit, where they're very good technically. They're very fit athletes. They're very much stronger. And they take a good punch and they can shoot a good punch. But how are they spiritually? How are they on the inside? What kind of role models are there being into the public, right? So we see a lot of athletes from, I can't quote the organizations, but there are a lot of elite athletes in martial arts who are very good at the martial arts, but are not good here and here as a person. And my approach has always been to build the martial arts skills, but also build the being, build that person. Because that person, that kid has a desire, has a passion, has a want, has a mindset, has a capacity to love and understand and be compassionate and empathetic. And those are themes that are not martial arts themes, right? Because when you think about martial arts, you're thinking, okay, jumping kicks, cartwheels, flips, smoke bombs, ninja, right? Nunchucks. But the more important thing is that I'm training people to be martial artists in life, not just black belts in martial arts, but black belts in life. So a lot of the kids that train with me, they take the principles, I teach them the principles of focus, discipline, and then they go to their academics and they do focus, discipline, academics, and they excel. So that's sort of where I'm coming from. I'm not just a martial arts trainer, so neither are you, Juliana. You're not just a coding instructor. Neither is Annie. Annie's not just a cook or a cooking teacher. We're all here imparting knowledge and adding value to developing the being, that person who's going to become somebody, who's going to become someone's parent, who's going to become someone's teacher or someone's engineer, someone that's important for society. So that's just want to add that.
Yeah, totally. Definitely, I'm definitely with you with this. Kids who come in, it's really not just coding. I would tell our parents that when they look for a coding class, it's not just coding they're looking at. There are actually 9 other things that they need to look at, and it goes from learning attitude to mindset to a lot more, building the whole being.
Exactly. I had a Korean student And Taekwondo is Korean martial art. I'm not Korean. I'm Indonesian Chinese. I'm ethnically Chinese, culturally Indonesian, right? So, but I grew up in white Australia. I grew up in Australia in the 90s and the 80s. So I had a Korean parent with a Korean daughter, and there are 7 different Korean schools in my area in growing up in Sydney. But he insisted that his daughter train with me because he said many people can teach Taekwondo, but not many people can teach martial arts, which is the way of doing things. And I imagine that's why people come to you, Juliana, right? Because plenty of people can teach coding, but it's not about coding when you're talking with kids. It's about the being. It's about the person, developing the person. Am I right?
That's certainly right. It's about their mindset, their learning attitudes. There's also the problem-solving part of it.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
And also, you look at the way that I look at, Juliana, thanks for having me on this course, because I look at you, I look at Annie, I look up to you girls, because you invest a lot in your learning and education. And there's one thing to learn about coding, but there's another thing to learn about delivering coding, teaching coding. So I know we're part of the same bigger organization. We're learning a lot. So
yeah.
And Thomas as well, right? Thomas.
That's right. Thomas is a teacher at our academy. You know what, Jason? I've got.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got one question I want to ask you. And Annie, I want to thank you for being here. So.
Bye, Annie.
Thank you. Bye, Annie. Yeah. Okay. All right. So Jason, I'm really curious. Like, you're teaching kids, and in so many aspects. Like, how do you recognize or tell? How do you read a kid? How do you read a kid? Because that's one of the skill set that a teacher must have, isn't it? Or parents must have.
So as you know, we're teachers, right? And we're always exposed to kids and customers and students. So the more you meet people, right, the more you have this thing called intuition, right? So your intuition is ready to go. Science says it's your subconscious mind picking up the trends, picking up the patterns. So when a kid behaves a certain way, subconsciously, oh, this kid is here, this kid is here, this student is here, this student is here. So that sort of, science says that. Well, I love talking about people, and I love discovering what is it that make people do what they do. So I dwell into this. One of the skills that I have is applied personology, right? So applied personology is used in America. It's an American science where I'm able to interpret someone's facial features, and from that, deduce their personality, right? So this skill is used in the FBI. It's used in government organizations in America. It's used for sales. It's used for personality analysis to discover what you're good at. So how this is important, let me give you an example, right? The kids that come to my class, I look at the cheekbones, for example, okay? If their cheekbones are super prominent, that means like my cheekbones are super prominent, right? You can totally see my bones. And that means that they're adventurous, They're gonna give it a go. They're gonna give it a try. Oh my God, this is something new, martial arts, I wanna try it. So they're gonna do it. They're so excited. So when they're kids in the sidelines waiting, I look at their cheekbones. I say, okay, jump on and try the class. Man, these kids are so excited. They jump in, they try the class. A lot of parents want their kids to be more self-confident, right? Come on, you're gonna try martial arts. You're gonna do it. Just get out there, just try it. How do you know you don't try it, right? So I get a lot of these parents who are very pushy to their kids. I tell them, listen, sometimes your kids may not have very prominent cheekbones. They might not have very protruding cheekbones. So I tell them, listen, I don't know if your kid's that adventurous. So why don't you let Johnny come and watch the class first? So that personology is so important because it's about communication and negotiation with people, right? Number one is negotiating with Johnny, with little Johnny. Johnny, just have a seat on the side, watch it first, ask me questions later, and then I'll prompt him, do you want to try it? By the second session, he's in because he doesn't want to try. He's not so adventurous, but when he sees the benefit, he comes into the class. Versus someone, let's say Timmy has big cheeks. He just wants to jump in. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's sort of one of the skills that I use to help me coach kids better and help them get their black belts in to their maximum capacity, not necessarily faster, but to their maximum ability. Thanks for the question.
Okay.
Yeah, good question.
That sounds pretty interesting. I'm hearing because you use examples with the cheekbones. I tend to think that you look at somebody's face and you could tell what are their natural talents. Is that what it is? Or because although I have a sense that you're saying that there's more to it because there's a whole science behind it.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's true. It is a science. It is a learned skill. And I teach parents how to talk to their children and understand their children, because what I don't want to do, in this 12 years of teaching martial arts, I've seen kids coming at 8 years old and graduate university, right? So I've seen these kids graduate. And when I meet them when they're older and I ask them, hey, I got one student, her name is, better not say it here, but she's from Australia. And I say, hey, what did you like about my training? She said, you know what, Master Jeson? I just love being able to talk to you. I was like, okay. So how about martial arts? Yeah, that was a plus. I love martial arts, but just being able to talk to you, now that I've grown up and graduated university, I understand why it was so fun. Because I've done different martial arts, I've done archery, I've done everything else, and it's not that fun, right? So that's what she said to me. And I said, okay, well, can't you talk to everybody else? Well, no, not actually. I actually can't talk to my dad. So she told me that she can't talk to her dad. Okay, and then I said, okay, why? So then I pulled up her dad's face. I pulled up her face, read their faces, and I said, okay, this is your communication error. And one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about teaching this skill to parents as well is because I don't want the kids to just have a lot of fun in the martial arts gym and connect with me and my trainers. But I want them to be able to connect with you, which is the most important thing as a parent: connection, influence with your kids, right? It's so important to be able to influence them the right direction, not manipulate them, influence them, right? Be able to communicate, pass on your ideas without them. You know when kids, when you talk at children, Johnny, you must do this, you must become this. Johnny immediately goes, oh my God, another lecture, right? So, I sort of teach this personology to help parents converse with their children. Yeah. It's a science. It's a big time science. 1930s. It was developed by a man named Judge Edward Vincent Jones. You can look it up. It's personology. Not many people can teach it. Not many people learn it. It's relatively young. And there's a sort of selection process to be able to learn it. Yeah.
Personology. Let me spell it out here so we can all look it up. So I would like to look it up too. Is that P-S-O-N? No, L-O-G-Y.
P-R-S-O-N-O-L-O-G-Y. Yeah, personology.
Okay, let me just show that. Yep.
Yeah, personology. That's right. So if you follow I have a webinar. Am I right to share about that?
Yeah, you can quickly share about it.
So I have a webinar on Saturday. I'll type in the chat. If you want to register for my webinar, I talk about personology. I don't mean to hijack this chat, but since you brought it up, okay.
Yeah, so while Jason is typing it in, I'll just say a few words. So we are currently now, I'm interviewing Jason, who is conducting one of our mind-body classes for the month of May. And Jason is a martial artist. He'll be doing the Young Giants Mixed Martial Arts program in May for LccL Coding Academy. And meantime, he also teaches the Personology, which is a science. And we just got to know about it today. At least for me, I just got to know a little bit more about it today. So he has just shared what he does.
Thanks for the question. That's relevant question.
Doing.
Yeah.
Okay, great, Jason. Thanks for that. But I'm really curious with your example earlier. Now, let's say if some child does not have the traits that they are, maybe not adventurous. It's okay. My question is more like, do you mean that if we can identify the natural talents of a child, then it's easier to for us to then teach them in a in a certain approach that is more suitable for them. Because for the adventurous child, like you mentioned, okay, you could just go and test out martial arts, test out coding, right? But for someone who may be a bit more cautious, then he may need a bit more probing, or maybe some slow introduction to it.
Yeah, I love that question. I really like that question. So here's how I answer it, right? When you want to talk to your child on an emotional level, you have to sort of break the barriers down, because most people don't want to open up their hearts. Some parents have a great connection and some don't, right? So let me give you an example. So you have to talk to the person first, have a conversation, and then ask a question about emotions. Let's say, for example, how do you feel? I heard you're not feeling too well, right? So there's two levels to that. And how I explain that is there's the human element and there's the being element. So personology is all about understanding the human element, right? So the natural tendencies. So let me give you an example. If you have a straight forehead, right? You're more process-oriented thinker. You think step by step. You like processes. You are not able to see the end goal. You like to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're very engineering. So that's sort of really good for coding, because coding, you need to do things step by step, right? But let's say you have a sloped forehead like me. I'm sloped forehead, right? I never did coding because back in the kid as a child, this does not exist. Coding did not exist for us, right? So, but does that mean that I can't do coding? No. It just that's now that we're talking about the being part. So the human part, straight forehead or slope forehead, process-oriented or goal-oriented thinking, that's one element. But the being part is the passion, the heart, what makes that person dance, the spiritual element of of us being humans, right? The emotional element. I might be able to look at coding and fall in love with it and do it, but I might need a different strategy to do it. So where it comes naturally for the straight forehead person who loves process step by step, for the goal-oriented person, I might need to apply new strategies. Maybe I need to write down my steps. A straight forehead person, a straight forehead kid may not need to write down anything. You just go take a computer and bang, code. But maybe for a slow person, I might need to write it out step by step first and have that map, that strategy for me to excel. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally
So
I
hope that was a relevant answer to your question. Yeah. Because we cannot look at our beauty is not just the physical, right? Beauty is how we behave as a person. So there's a physical element to beauty, then there's a generous element to beauty. So there's a visible and invisible. And how we treat people, how we express our emotions, how we convey music, that's beauty. How we express martial arts, it's beauty. Not just the physical looks. So it's sort of the same with face reading. We don't just interpret the natural talents on the face. We also have to see the person's passion. The goal is to align their natural talents and their passion so they can excel 100% in what they want to do. And that's sort of what I do through martial arts.
Okay.
Yeah,
great.
Thanks for the question.
Thanks for that. Okay, so now there are some kids who will be seeing you on Monday. Can you give them a teaser of what they're going to get?
Right, kids, how you doing? Okay, so you're here. We're going to have high energy, level 10 energy, okay? Level 10. You don't have level 10 energy, we don't start the martial arts class. But I'm going to teach you one thing right now. So are there kids on this chat group right now?
Well, there was one, but I'm not too sure now.
Okay, so they're
going to see this. Jason, they're going to see this. Yeah.
So parents and children, what I'm going to teach is called one-word commands. One-word commands, okay? So what I'll teach you first is the attention position, okay? So if you can see me, we're going to go into attention. Now, when I call for attention, I want everybody to put their feet together and slap their hands by their thighs, but also at the same time shout, sir. So we're going to do from here, relax. You're going to relax when I call for attention. You're going to go slap your hands by the side and shout, sir. And when you shout, sir, you do not move. Right? So that's attention. So why is attention important? We're going to go through attention. If nobody gets attention right, we don't move on. Because if you're not in attention, if you're not ready, not focused, you can't achieve the next step. Okay, so you gotta go into attention, one-word commands. We're gonna do that, and that's your first step to becoming a martial artist, a black belt in martial arts, and a black belt in life. So hopefully you guys are excited to do that, and I'll see you guys on Monday.
That's perfect, Jason. I think there's going to be a bunch of kids they may not watch now, but they could be watching it later, right?
Yeah.
They'll be looking forward to do that attention, very high energy.
So kids, listen, after attention, the fun stuff happens, right? The blocks, the punches, the kicks, okay? But you gotta go attention first. So if you can't do that, I don't know what to say. That I might not be a good teacher, but at that moment, so I have to make sure I prepare myself on Monday, and you gotta prepare yourself as well, okay? We're gonna work together, we're gonna do some martial arts, we're gonna learn how to defend ourselves and our loved ones.
Okay, just I have two questions. One, so we're now in a lockdown, right? I mean, how is it in Indonesia? Are you guys in a lockdown as well?
Yeah, we're in a no move. So work from home is key. We don't say lockdown. We're in work from home, social distancing, wear a mask.
Yeah, great. So in Singapore, we have the equivalent. It's called circuit breaker, and that means that children are at home. Parents are working from home. Do you have any words of wisdom or advice from with your experience with, from the emotional side, from the being side, from the physical side? Do you have an advice to give both parents and children?
Yeah, I think right now, a lot of parents who get to spend time with their kids are super excited. So I'm very grateful that parents can sort of be with their kids. There are a lot of parents who also may have trouble communicating. And let me tell you one thing, you're not alone. There are a lot of things that even I don't understand kids nowadays, man. There are games and everything, right? Even I can't figure them out. But here's what I want to say, if you would like my advice, is just have a conversation with your kids. I mean, a lot of times, what messes us up is the expectation that we want our kids to do well. I have that same problem. I don't have children of my own, but when I step into the martial arts mat, or virtually as well, I want all the students to do it right. So it's expectation, right? I want them to do the best that they can be. And sometimes I make the mistake of telling them and shouting at them and talking at them and lecturing. And that is sort of not conducive. So when I talk at, it's just a one-way line of conversation, communication. That doesn't work. I think the more important thing is to converse with. So I think if people can shift their mindset, parents can shift their mindset from talking to kids to conversing with your kids, you're gonna have a great, great conversation with your kids. And here's another tip that I like to give, Juliana. I'm sure you do it as well. We come from the same education of teaching. Are you part of BSTA, by the way, or Tom? Thomas, right?
Yeah, right. I'm level 2,
right.
Level 2.
Oh, awesome, amazing. So here's what I tell, I don't look at my students as kids. I don't look at them at 7 years old, 10 years old, I don't. When I speak to them and I converse with them, I'm conversing with my black belt. So they're already a black belt to me. And so, I mean, sometimes parents may say, but Jason, some my kid's super hyperactive. Well, be hyperactive first, build rapport, do some activity with them, and then start your conversation. And it's all about eliminating the barriers of being human and connecting with the being. And you are a being as well. So parents, you're a being as well. So I think communication, conversation is connection, and connection is true power, it's influence. And I know for a fact, every parent out there wants to have the ability to influence their children the right way, right? And I do that for a living professionally. So I influence them to be a black belt. What if you could influence them to be all they can be? I think that's more important. So please, my tip is converse with them, ask questions, and just thank them for answering.
Yeah. Communication is connection. I think that's so important. It's important not just parents. Say that again.
Two-way communication.
Two ways. Yeah.
Give,
Yeah.
take, converse.
That's right. Yeah, it's and it's not just for parents, even for teachers. In an education setting, I think in certain contexts. I mean, I don't want to mention which context. I mean, in certain contexts, and I'm sure we have all experienced it. Maybe as a student, we have teachers talking to us, but imagine what a different world it can be if education is such that teachers also learn to connect, and it's a two-way thing because.
Man, yeah. It's I never see my martial arts gym or classes as a job because I never have to turn up and teach. I turn up and converse. And then through my conversation I start to move and people follow the way I move. And that's sort of how I transfer knowledge. So I think teaching is a skill, but I think connecting as a human, I think it's a lot more important. That's the essence of why we are, right? So look, think about COVID-19. We're working from home. Everyone's locking down, going crazy because there's no human connection, right? So the other day I caught myself as well, Juliana. I was like, oh my God, I can't stay home. I jumped into my car. I drove around and I came back. I had to see some humans in the street. Oh, hello, person. So I was a little bit going cuckoo as well. I get it.
But now we are here. We are connecting this way.
Yeah. So it's good. It's good.
Facilitated by technology.
Yeah, I have never seen myself on the screen so many times, right? But every time I'm on a webinar, my face is on the screen. I'm talking to you, but I'm looking at myself talking to you. So it's a surreal experience, I think. But yeah, human connection. You're right. We're having conversation.
Yeah. Okay. So we're looking forward to that kind of connection on Monday. One final thing. What's a message you want to give to our students?
The kids, martial arts kids. Okay. So for all you guys doing coding right now, all you guys and girls doing coding, okay, you gotta attack coding with energy. You gotta have energy, right? So when you go and you code with Juliana and Thomas, you gotta code with spirit, energy, level 10. We call it in Bahasa semangat, right? Spirit. And you cannot grow your spirit if you don't grow your body. You can't grow your body if you don't grow your mind. You can't grow your mind, you can't grow your emotions. You can't grow your emotions, you can't grow your spirit. So you gotta have high spirit. How do you do that? We're gonna learn some martial arts. I'm gonna make you punch hard, move hard, go flexible, jump. We're gonna do everything to lift your energy, lift your spirit, so that everything else that you do from now on, from Monday morning, you're gonna attack it with 100% enthusiasm. You can become a black belt in coding or a black belt in whatever you wanna be. So that's my message to you guys and girls, okay? Good luck, I'll see you Monday.
Thank you, Jason. Thanks for being here. We'll see you.
Thanks, Juliana. Thanks everybody for being on the call and Annie for jumping in. Thank you so much.
Yep, thanks, Annie. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.